The NazareN movement stands up for all the indigenous people, everybody from the Slavs to the Australian Aborigines to Africa to Native Americans. But today I want to talk to my Black brothers and sisters, specifically my American Black brothers and sisters, which in fact you are more American than anyone else. I got a question for y'all. Most of y'all swear by the Bible. Well, my first question is, what does the word Bible mean? But we can put that aside. My more important question is, what is the language that you're reading your Bible in? It's most likely English. Now, before we go on, what do they say about history? They say that history is written by winners. Well, historically, what do they tell us about the English language? Where does it come from? They say it comes from Latin and Germanic. And they say that Latin was spoken in the Roman Empire. But if you know your Bible, if you truly know your Bible, ask yourself, what language did Christ use to talk to the Roman guards? Not what language Christ spoke in, because we know it was Aramaic. What language did he speak to the guards with? And you will find out that it was Greek. So where did Latin come from? Well, Latin was created around the 15th century by the Roman Catholic Church, and English sprung out of it and was made popular by a Anglo-Saxon homosexual that wrote about the worst of humanity. Now, if you remember when God said, "Let there be light," and first there was a word, what were they talking about? They were talking about a word, a language that has substance, which means frequency or vibration. Well, a language synthetically created such as English cannot have substance. So what are you really getting out of your Bible? Because as we know, the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament, was written by the Hebrews for the Hebrews. Are you reading your Bible in Hebrew? Because if you're not, what are you really reading? And if we remember, Christ said in the New Testament, "I came to save the flock of Israel." Now, are you the flock of Israel? It was made so all of us, we know the Hebrew flock very well. And let me ask you this. Do you remember your flock? Do you know anything about your origins? How can you know anything about your origins if you don't even know your language? And we know that language is the foundation for us perceiving the reality. Now, remember when they brought Africans on the slave ships to America? What was the first thing that they did and made sure that they did? Yup, they made sure that they separated the tribes so they couldn't communicate amongst one another, so they wouldn't preserve the language, so they wouldn't preserve the culture and tradition. Because if you would preserve language, culture, and tradition, then you would know that you have your own prophets. You would know that you have your own ancestors and you have your own language, and your perception of the world would be completely different. Now, they also got rid of most of the gospels and gave us the 4 known gospels, which they handpicked for political propaganda and with political motivations in the back of their heads. Because if you read such books as the Book of Nicodemus, which Nicodemus was one of the high Jewish priests that tried to stand up for Christ. Christ told Nicodemus, he said, "Yo, your father is the devil, and the temple that you pray in is the temple of Satan." So again, I ask you, what are you really reading? How come you missed the point when the 5%ers were talking about the gods and the earths? The 5%ers was getting close to the truth, but even they were reading their text in what? In English, man. Anyway, some deep stuff here. Let me know what y'all think.